folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. It's April 26th, Sunday here in central Oklahoma. It's a beautiful day. It's a little bit cloudy, which makes it nicer. So when the sun's hitting you directly, when it's not behind a cloud, it's a little bit hot. But man, it's a really beautiful day. I hope everyone's staying safe and aren't going too crazy at home. Hopefully you can get out and mess with your bees like I am, or mess with the garden, and we got plenty to do around here. So it's been really busy here the last couple days trying to keep up with everything. So with that said, I've been trying to stay on top of the bees and the swarms and the swarm cells and all that. So far so good. I haven't had any swarms that I've seen, but it's still kind of early. I've caught all the swarm cells when they're forming. Been making my splits. So we need to follow up, and this year I think because I'm so on top of it, I'm not having as many swarm cells appear, because early on I scraped off a lot of drone brood, and I think that slowed them down quite a bit. I haven't had near the swarm cells I'm used to seeing. I was planning on making about 10 or so extra nukes and selling those, but it's looking like all I'm going to have is enough to just replenish my fall and winter losses. So we're, I think, 2 hives short to be completely full, to be at my 30 hive. This is about where I like to stay. But today, I'm going to be following up on a split of Hive 4, just 1 nuke, and a split of Hive 25. That was the very first split I did in the season. So we should have some laying queens in there now. It's a little early maybe, but I just want to look and see if the queens are laying. I have found my 3 virgin queens. They are there and they're good to go. Well, they got to mate and come back, then they're good to go. So we want to see if they're still there. And this one on the left here, the nuke on the left, that's let's see, that's number 21. That's from a split from hive number 4. And weird story on that, I'll keep it short. After the split, I found the original queen in there, which that's not where I wanted her. So I moved her off to a weaker nuke, grabbed the swarm cell that was in the weaker nuke that hadn't emerged yet, and put it over here. And when I did that, they pulled down some emergency queens. So, and I think that swarm cell was cut down, taken down, which was odd. So, and I also noticed they had no nectar, no honey, and no pollen in there, just bees. So they were hungry and they were trying to pull down those queen cells. And so I put a jar feeder on the top, and they've taken 2 quarts so far. So I want to get in there and check out that Hive 21 and see if they cap the ends of those emergency cells off and see how they're doing. It looks like that jar feeder is empty. If they've got nectar in there, I won't refill it. If they're still out of food, I'll put some more sugar water in there. So that's 4 little nukes to go through. I'll try and make as short as I can, and I want to get in 21 first. I'm eager to see what's happening there, and because that's kind of a special situation. So let's get in 21, and then we'll check on our virgin queens. Let's get going. So looking at Hive 21 here on the entrance, they got pretty good activity coming and going. And our jar feeder is empty. So that is the 2nd quart they've consumed. So what we're going to be looking for is to make sure they've stored some of that. So is one of my favorite beekeepers I watch on YouTube, Bob Binney. It's B-I-N-N-I-E. Very, very knowledgeable beekeeper, and his videos are so useful and so full of information and easy to understand. If you haven't watched him, you need to check him out. He gives you a lot of practical information, and he'll tell you a lot of things that he'll say, this is my opinion, there's no scientific data on it. But when he says it's my opinion, I pretty much believe him. He knows what he's doing. He was a former commercial beekeeper, and I think he mostly sells nukes now and has a little business on the side. So there's our empty jar. I made a couple of these little covers out of some scrap lumber I had and a big hole saw that matched the size of the lid. I don't remember the exact size. I'll look it up and put it on there, but worked pretty good. Use a 1x to hold it up, and this is just a little skinny piece of scrap plywood. Yeah, boy, there's quite a few bees in here for a split. And man, there's a lot of hive beetles. We're gonna have to take care of those right now. It's the beetle smash. It's kind of like that gopher game at the arcade. Smash them as you see them. So when I found the queen, I took her over there and I brought back, so this hive was strong. The one I took her to wasn't near as strong, so I wanted to put her over there to give it a better chance of success. So when I brought a frame back, I put in a frame and I put the letter N's on here. It means I put a notch on the frame. And I'll show you that here in a second. So when I said they pulled an emergency cell, that's where they pulled them from. But my queen cell was right here, and there's a little blue dot there. It's gone. So that's what's odd about this. So there's my N, blue, and the other one's right up here. And the little blue dot where I put so there was a queen cell right below that dot down there on the bottom edge. Just kind of give you a little bit better look at that. So since I'm really not queen searching, I want to give them just a little bit of smoke. Man, no matter where I put these smokers, they always smoke right back at me. Then I start coughing and then I start sneezing. It's a vicious cycle. Okay, so we got us a frame here with some emerged brood, and I'm just noting I see a little bit of pollen, bee bread right here. That's pollen that's had some additive to it from the bees. Now this is my frame right here that I notched, and I'll show you what I mean by notching here in just a second. Be nice and gentle with this. Okay, there's my N, and here's my emergency cells. There's another one here and right there. So you can see that queen cell there is just about ready to emerge. And these up here, they're in about the same state. So when I'm talking about notching, so this had eggs, fresh laid eggs, before there were any larvae at all developed. And I'd take my hive tool and I'd put it on the cell that had eggs and I'd push it in. And that would leave the bottom open and able for them to easily draw down a queen cell like that. That's how you can help them out making emergency queen cells. So if there was an emerged virgin queen in here, she'd be attacking those, chewing them off, stinging them in the side. So this was my frame that had a swarm cell from the original split. And it was right in here somewhere, because my dot is right there. And it is nowhere to be found. Unless that was it, and I don't think that is. That's just burr comb. Actually, I think that is it. And it was right there. So it's gone. So we've got uncapped larvae right here forming from the original queen. So I'm just briefly looking for a virgin queen on here. I very seriously doubt I would find one. Something happened to that original queen cell. They didn't like it for whatever reason. Or it may have emerged and she went out to mate and didn't make it back. That's a possibility. So I'm not finding any stored nectar. So we got a little bit of bee bread right here. So they've got bee bread for the brood that's in here now to feed them and get them capped off. And those queen cells were capped, which is a good thing. I was afraid they ran out of food and didn't have enough to take care of those queen cells. There's a little queen cup right there. That looks like that had an emerged queen from it. There's a larva in there. I don't know if I'll be able to get this or not. Right there with that bee butt sticking out of that cell, there's a queen larva in there. So there's another one they're pulling down. So even though they're living hand to mouth, they are getting enough resources from the field bees to keep taking care of what they've got. Well, plus I've been feeding them. And there's no stored nectar here. So they need fed. So it's amazing to me, this population of bees has taken a half a gallon of sugar water, and there is not one drop of it in there. That's how much resource hungry this hive right here is. I could get a frame of honey, but I think what they need is nectar and not honey, so they'll get that in the form of sugar water, and that's what they need to feed these young bees, make bee bread, and build comb, which to build comb they really don't need to, but they're finishing off those queen cells. All right, so I'll run up to the barn up there where I've got another jar, top this off, and I'll be right back. Okay, got us another quart. Okay, let's get over to these other 3 nukes and see if we can find our queens and see if they're laying. Okay, I'm not going to check 24 because I looked at my notes and I was actually in it a couple days ago and saw the queen in there and she was not laying yet. So I'm just going to check these other 2. This is 25, the parent hive that the 3-way split came from. Don't see her on there. So it looks like most of our bee population is right in here. These frames here don't have anything going on. I'll go ahead and pull these up just to get my space that I need. I'll probably reverse this and put this good comb towards the bees. And here's an empty frame. I'm going to put that to the outside. So here's the frame with the blue dot. That's the one the queen was on. The blue dot's where the queen cell was. So they're putting nectar in that. It's not drawn out very well. Maybe they'll finish it off. So it looks like here's where one of our queen cells was. It's empty. So this is mostly nectar, and I'm not seeing any eggs where the queen might be laying. There's an emerged queen cell right there. I could see where the queen came out the end where she chewed the hole. I don't see her on this frame, and I don't see eggs either. A lot of drones in here. It's hard to spot a new queen when there's that many drones walking around. Okay, I don't see the queen here, but I do see eggs right in here. And I believe I'm seeing eggs on this side too. Oh, I spotted her. Right there she is. She's a light colored queen. Not going to mark her just yet. Don't want to traumatize her. Let's get her laying good and established, and then we'll get her marked. So now I've found her, I can use a little smoke just to move the bees away from where I don't want them, so I don't smash them. Okay. So good deal, we got us a laying queen in here. She's gone out, mated, came back and laying. That's awesome. So when you do like a 3 or 4-way split and you find one laying, that tells you those other ones should be pretty close to that same time frame. So this nuke right here, that queen should be laying pretty quick. And let's go down here to the one on the end, 28. That's the other split from here. And let's see if the one in there we can find and if she's laying or not. So I haven't had very good luck with this location. This is, I think, the 3rd attempt at getting a colony started right here. So I painted the underside of these lids of these nukes because this is made out of OSB. And the humidity from the inside of the hive makes these come apart because that wood's not supposed to get wet. It's certainly not designed to make beehives with out of either, but we had it. It was sort of free. I paid for it indirectly when they're building my house, but I put it to good use. So here we got honey and some nectar. These bees are a little on the skittish side compared to that other hive. So here we've got bee bread and our queen is right there. Man, how lucky was that? Right there she is. And I also see eggs right here. So bam. That is all we need to see. And we need to get out of here and let them do their thing. Maybe 3rd time's a charm for this location. Or 4th time, whatever it is. Yeah, so there's some sweet action on hive number 25 split, 3 for 3. So that's a good thing. And the number 21 with the emergency cells, looks like that might work out. So I know emergency cell queens probably aren't the best most of the time because they're not quite as big, and for other reasons, and I won't get into all that. But yeah, so this was a pretty successful little search through here. And the next thing I need to do, and I'm not going to video it, I'm going to go through hives, the range of 1 through 15 over there. And it's been 8 days since I bent them over and checked for the swarm cell thing. That sounded kind of medical. Anyway, I gotta get over there and check the strong hives over there and look for the swarm cells. They may surprise me, but I'm betting I don't find any. So that's it for this video. Give me a thumbs up if you would, and y'all be safe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.